thanks. Like, hey, Scoob, did you hear Nikki Blake is hosting a Scooby-Doo panel? No. Yeah. Like on today's Scooby-Doo episode, Scooby-Doo and Shaggy meet Nikki Blake. Yeah, and a Scooby Panel. Like, we need to get this puppy started. Okay, Nikki Blake, take it away, Scooby-Doo.
Welcome to the Scooby Panel. I'm your host, Nikki Blake from ScoobyAddicts.com, and today we're going to be talking about Scooby's favorite treat, Scooby Snacks. And before we begin, I'll have everybody introduce themselves, and Wendy, we'll start with you.
Hey guys, I'm Wendy BRYDGE. I'm a commissioned artist. I've been collecting Scooby for over 30 years, and I can tell you from experience, Scooby Snacks taste like crap. More about that later, though. Stay tuned.
Alexa.
And I'm Alexa LAWLOR, host of the Unmasked History of Scooby-Doo podcast. I don't have anything fun to add.
Excellent. We're going to have a very interesting conversation about Scooby Snacks because we had no idea that so many different types of Scooby Snacks existed. Scooby Snacks are basically Scooby's favorite treat. They are used to bribe Scooby and Shaggy into doing things like being bait, climbing walls, doing anything that they don't want to do. And there are so many different types of them. We're going to get into that. So we're going to go through all the different Scooby Snacks that I was able to find in the movies and the episodes. This is from What a Night for a Night. This was the first appearance of Scooby Snacks, and that's Fred's hand. He's giving Scooby to Scooby Snacks.
In this, didn't he just like pull them out of his pocket or something? There's no box.
This picture is from Nowhere to Hide, and we see a red box of Scooby Snacks. This is from Don't Fool with a Phantom, and this was a box that was upside down. Scooby and Shaggy went on a table that was attached to the ceiling, and the Scooby Snacks were on that table, upside down. This blue box of Scooby Snacks was from Scooby-Doo and a Mummy 2, and then, of course, Scooby ate them all. And then we have Shaggy Snacks from Never Ape an Ape Man, which is pot pie with a pizza crust, anchovies, pepperoni, cherries, in a thick chocolate sauce. We did not try that when we did the food panel.
Thank God.
These are the different types of Scooby Snacks from the new Scooby-Doo movies. They came in all different shapes and sizes in that series. And I don't believe that we ever saw an actual box of Scooby Snacks in that series. And then we have the Scooby Snacks from the Scooby-Doo show. This is from Scooby of the Jungle. So it's the red box again. And then the gorilla takes it and somehow a white stripe appears. And then Wendy pointed out that at one point the box is just a square.
Oh, jeez.
Very weird. And then we have from Where's Scooby-Doo Part 1, Scooby had a briefcase full of Scooby Snacks. Wedding Bell Booze, Scrappy was holding plates of Scooby Snacks and Shaggy Snacks. In Halloween Hassle and Dracula's Castle, there was a yellow box of Scooby Snacks. And then we saw that again in Night of the Living Toys. In Pole Vault Scooby, Scrappy was roasting Scooby Snacks. Look at his little oven mitt.
I love that he has it on the hand that's not touching
Was
the...
just thinking that.
Right? Yeah. And then in That's Monstertainment and 13 Ghosts, we see a green box of Scooby Snacks. And of course, Scooby's eating them. In A Pup Named Scooby-Doo, Wanted Cheddar Alive, we see a Scooby Snack factory. In Dawn of the Spooky Shuttle Scare, we see Shaggy Snacks and Scooby Snacks. In that same episode, Velma started working on making microwavable Scooby Snacks, which she started working on as a child. Like a little baby Velma. At some point, she pulls baby Scooby out of that pile of Scooby Snacks.
Oh.
And then we see the shape of the Scooby snack, and that was a giant Scooby snack on a crane. In Zombie Islands, we have the orange box, and that followed through in those movies. This is from Alien Invaders. In What's New, Scooby-Doo, Recipe for Disaster, we see another Scooby Snacks factory. And the green box is what they typically went with in What's New, Scooby-Doo. However, we did see that box grow in Recipe for Disaster. And then you can see the boxes in the background in the store. We saw a supersized box of Scooby Snacks in 3D Struction. The new improved Scooby Snacks in High-Tech House of Horrors, they added jalapeno cheddar and tiny colored marshmallows. I'm guessing like the marshmallows in Lucky Charms, something like that.
I think so.
Didn't they do a Scooby cereal with like the marshmallows?
I think so. Yeah.
We saw freeze-dried Scooby Snacks in New Mexico Old Monster. And we saw Russian Scooby Snacks that were beet flavored. And then in Gold Paw, there was a weird box of Scooby Snacks taped to the bottom of the Mystery Machine. In Aloha Scooby-Doo, it was the green box, but these were macadamia flavored. The green box again in Where's My Mummy? In Get a Clue, the ones that they made were like bone shaped. These had an S on them, and these were like the blimp ones. So I guess they made them fly. Samurai Sword, we had the green ones. And then there was a box that I'm guessing that's Japanese writing. And then in Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated, Where Walks Aphrodite, we see a totally different box of Scooby Snacks than we've seen yet. And in Big Top Scooby-Doo, an even different box of Scooby Snacks, which was similar to the one in WrestleMania Mystery. And there we see Shaggy in WrestleMania Mystery dumping out a Scooby Snack. And then in the mystery map, it had a paw print on it and the box glowed.
That's cool.
In Franken Creepy, it was similar to the one from Mystery Incorporated. Same thing with the Beach Beastie episode. And then there was a Lego version of the Scooby Snacks box. This was from Moon Monster Madness. This was the video game scene, so it was a little bit different than the rest of the movie, but these were the Scooby Snacks. Scooby had thrown them up in the air, and then we see everyone eating Scooby Snacks, which is something that we don't see, is Velma, Daphne, and Fred eating Scooby Snacks. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
In Be Cool, the Scooby Snacks have Scooby on them. And guess who? It has a weird little dog on it. It's cute. It's a cute dog.
Like the description of a weird little dog.
It's like a stick figure dog in a way. It's not like a dog's face. It's more like if you were to draw a dog's face as a stick figure.
It almost reminds me of the Animaniacs.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And then we have the Scooby Snacks. And then we have Wendy's Scooby Snacks, which are so cool. I love this box. I love that they're made like the pup named Scooby-Doo Scooby Snacks.
Yeah.
So cool.
Once upon a time, it was edible before it got covered in resin. That's how not delicious they were, is that I covered them in resin instead of eating them.
And then our final picture is the mini Scooby Snacks boxes that Devin made, and Devin is from Awesome Thanks. So let's talk about Scooby Snacks.
Wow.
Alexa, what are your thoughts on all these Scooby Snacks?
I like that they're at least sort of consistent for each era. So as soon as almost as soon as the animation changed, the Scooby Snacks box changed. What do we think about Scooby Snacks CKS versus the X?
I like the CKS personally. I like when they spell out snacks.
Yeah, and I actually like the X. I would be okay if they were always the X. I find it weird that that's not consistent.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah, I'm not sure what I like better. I think it depends on the box design. Like some boxes work better with the like full out spelled snacks, and then other ones I really like the X.
Wendy, what are your thoughts on the Scooby Snacks?
Yeah, who knew that 53 years of Scooby would bring so many, like such a variety of boxes. And yet now that we've looked at them all and I have considered that it is literally 53 years worth of content that these have been present in, now I'm actually less upset about it. I mean, I wasn't upset about it before, but it did kind of bug me that there was a lack of continuity over the whole thing. Like Alexa said, though, at least, you know, especially in the what's new era, they're pretty consistent with what the box looks like. But now it kind of just makes sense that why wouldn't they be different? And I mean, I don't even have a problem thinking that, you know, we get to see like the Scooby Snacks factory in a few different places. So if you went to buy your dog treats, there's, I mean, I haven't had a dog in a long time, but like who makes treats? I don't know, Old Roy, Purina. I don't honestly, I don't even know, but there's a bunch of different ones. I remember my dog used to like Milk Bones, and I liked them because they were different colors and things. And so I think it does make sense that you could have different looking boxes. As I say, I'm like a little less forgiving about the inconsistency between snacks with an X and the CK on the end. But I feel like for some reason, if I'm writing it out, my default is to put the X on it. Even though I feel like, I don't know, what do you think? We've just looked at them all, but I wasn't really keeping count. But do we think that it's more spelled with the CK, or is it split 50-50 between the two?
I think that like the Zombie Island era ones are all X, and then the What's New ones are all X, but pretty much all of the other ones I think are a full CKS.
CK, yeah. Although I think if we go back and look, that one from Mr. Hyde, I think that one had an X on it. I feel like one of those earliest ones that were in there, one had a CK and one had the X. I'm pretty sure. I am glad at some point though that they did do like a bone shaped snack.
Yeah.
Because I always kind of wondered like, why is it not? They see that
So
one.
the very first box had the SNAX. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess there's a lot of moving parts in animation. I mean, if we've learned nothing else, it's that there are a lot of people working on the same project. And so I could see where it would be, I guess, difficult to keep things consistent. But it's just kind of fun now that we've seen them all, like getting to see them all like that, like all the different shapes and things. I have to say, some of them look so unappetizing though. Like some of them look like poo, for one thing. Like legitimately, that's what they look like. Those nugget shaped ones are not really like I like the pup named Scooby-Doo ones because I feel like they're like that's a good shape for a biscuit for either a person or a dog. I mean, can we call it appetizing compared to the others? I would say yes. I'm not fussy on that, like just rounded nugget. And some of those ones that are like flat, that maybe they're more geared towards Shaggy, but those just look like crisps. And that's kind of weird to me, but yeah, it's just, I don't know. Now it's really fun. I'm glad that I made this one. This is my favorite box, the one from the Scooby-Doo show. I changed it a little bit because I wanted my snacks to look like the ones that I was going to be putting in it. So it's not an exact replica, but yeah, I think the box from the Scooby-Doo show, but the snacks from Pup Named Scooby-Doo. Now there is one snack that you left off that I just realized. So in the Scrappy era, when we get Scrappy and Yabba-Doo and Deputy Dusty makes Yabba snacks for Yabba, and they're like a chili snack. And it's been a long time since I've seen it, but I feel like they're shaped similar to those Pup Named Scooby-Doo ones. I think they have like a shape to them rather than just a nugget. And I think they're like a dark reddish brown color because they're meant to be spicy and hot. But I don't know, it's a fun, can we call it a trope in the show? You know, here's a bribe, go do something brave. Where would Scooby be without his Scooby Snacks? It's just a bit of fun that I'm glad that they put it in. And now that I've seen them all in one sitting, I can appreciate the differences between them. I no longer feel like it should have been consistent one box all the way through. I don't feel that way anymore. But I still have a problem with that square box in that jungle episode. That was just weird. It looks like a box of Kleenex. I wasn't into that one.
It is really cool that they did change the boxes. I like that they sort of kept them consistent, like Alexa said, in the eras, but changing the boxes was kind of cool because, you know, the characters changed. They changed their designs, so why not change the Scooby Snacks boxes too? And after 53 years, it is fun to see them all. I'm sure I'm missing some. I did not have a chance to go through every single episode, every single movie. I did my best to get as many as I could. And yeah, it was, I had no idea that there were that many different boxes.
Yeah.
And to have just gone through 57 pictures of Scooby Snacks and see all the different boxes together, it's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Can we talk about the chicken and the egg question, or the Scooby and the snack question? Is Scooby named after Scooby Snacks, or are Scooby Snacks named after Scooby? Because it depends, because like sometimes his face is on the box, and sometimes it's already like, because like, did they exist when, like in the pup example, like when Velma was working on it, did they exist already and were already being mass manufactured? Was it a coincidence that he was named Scooby and Scooby Snacks exist?
And if she was working on them as a child in pup named Scooby-Doo, then she wouldn't have met Scooby yet, right? It was like infant. It was almost like infant Velma.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Although if Scooby comes out of that pile of snacks, though, then is the implication that she was making them specifically for him? It's been so long since I've watched that episode. I'm not really sure exactly what happens, but
yeah, I haven't seen him in a while either.
Yeah. I always assumed that the snacks were named after him, but you bring up a good point, because there are plenty of times where it is implied perhaps that's not the relation, that they did exist prior to Scooby wanting to eat them. Yeah, that's a good question. Mm-hmm.
I also just assumed that they were named after Scooby, not the other way around, but yeah. I mean, in Scoob, he was named after the box of Scooby Snacks. So maybe they're on to something. Maybe they know something that we don't.
Possible.
This should have been one of our fan theories that we talked about.
So the one difference with the Scooby Snacks and Get a Clue is that they gave them like powers. They gave them invisibility, the ability to fly, to turn into a robot, super strength, and some other stuff. We didn't really see that in any other series or movie, that it would give them the ability to do something crazy like that. So I thought it was interesting that Get a Clue was kind of designed for the Scooby Snacks to actually do something, as opposed to just using them as a bribe to get Shaggy and Scooby to do something.
Yeah.
I'd argue that like in Pup, it sort of gets him to do something when he like turns into a rocket and like shoots up into the sky, but like less so with the like super powered snacks. But still, like, I think there's a couple instances where it like kind of implies that it can give him like more speed or whatever to like in that Nowhere to Hide example, when they're like getting out of the lake, or I think it's a lake. I think it implies that it makes them go faster.
Yeah. Yeah, I do think that is something that does happen. It like enhances their normal abilities. I always kind of thought that Scooby Snacks were maybe like the equivalent of spinach to Popeye. And so while technically it doesn't give him superpowers, it still allows him to do semi crazy things. It gives him like all this strength and makes, you know what I mean, all this kind of stuff. So I always kind of thought that the Scooby Snacks were meant to be Scooby's version of the spinach, and it just enhances all of his abilities because now he's not afraid anymore. But especially in that Mr. Hyde one, I do feel like in that they do make more of an implication that it's doing more than just helping him not be scared. So now he can do the thing that he needs to do. Like, is it Shaggy and he gets like the medallions in his eyes and they say charge on them or charged or something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, which is such a fun, this is just a fun thing that they put in. But yeah. Yeah, I don't know about I think maybe they took it a little too far though with like the actual superpowers. I like the more, even though like Alexa pointed out where Scooby turns into a rocket in Pup Named Scooby-Doo. I mean, obviously that's extreme, but it's kind of done in something about it feels subtle. I mean, what's subtle about a dog turning into a rocket? I know, but I don't know, it doesn't feel like he's doing something like supernatural or anything. It seems natural that this is happening. And I like it when they play it like that a little bit better than being like, oh, there's something about these snacks, there's something in them that gives you superpowers. I like just the like, here, he could just do something really cool and leave it like that. I think for me, that's what I like the best.
And I think that one, I like that it's sort of a callback to, this will test my Hanna-Barbera knowledge, but Snuffles the dog that I think is in Quick Draw McGraw. When he has a snack and then he does his like thing where he like flies up into the air and he like floats back down. He's like, So I think it's kind of a cute little callback to that in a way. But yeah, I don't know. I kind of like in Get a Clue with the superpowers, but I'm just a Get a Clue fan. So.
So let's talk about the Scooby Snacks that they make for dogs and for humans. So for humans, I only really found two things that were definitely called Scooby Snacks. One was a vanilla wafer, and the other one was Edie's brand ice cream. They made a Scooby Snack flavored ice cream that was vanilla and chocolate ice cream with peanut butter cookie dough and chocolate covered peanut butter cookies. And that they were the only two things for human, because like the Scooby Grams, they're not called Scooby Snacks. The fruit snacks aren't called Scooby Snacks. So those were the only two things that I found for humans that were called Scooby Snacks. And then for dogs, they just make so many treats. BarkBox made treats, sausages. They make chocolate eggs for dogs and chocolate bars for dogs and all this other stuff. And it's kind of crazy how many different things that they do make for dogs versus what they make for people. Just because I feel like people would eat Scooby Snacks if they made something that was called Scooby Snacks. Yeah. So what are your thoughts on the stuff that they make for dogs and humans? Wendy?
Yeah, I was shocked to see how many dog products there are. And yet I have to say this. I can see how someone could mistakenly give their kid a dog treat. Because honestly, I know that like you just pointed out, there's only two things that say Scooby Snacks for people. And you're like, well, okay, so it's obvious, right? If it's called that, it's usually for dogs. But I'll tell you, the way that they do the packaging, I feel like the name is irrelevant. I didn't even notice like actually the names. I was busy looking at the design of the package and then what the flavoring was. Because some of those dog treats, there was one that was like blueberry vanilla. Who thinks that that's a dog treat? I mean, honestly, I would not assume that that was a dog treat. And so I feel like the packaging, apart from the name, they look so similar. And almost all but maybe 2 or 3 of the dog products, if I just looked quickly on a shelf, I would assume that they were for people and not dogs. And what dog needs a chocolate egg? I mean, that is also something that I would never expect to see. So I would probably assume at first glance that that was something for people. So I'm just saying, I understand that I would think that the dog treats would maybe have a smell that did not smell like cookies or something like that. So maybe that would be like your first inclination that perhaps you shouldn't be eating it. But just looking at the designs of the packages and what flavors they have, I could easily see accidentally eating a dog treat. I mean, my grandma ate sausages and dog jerky, and there was a dog on the package, and she ate it and she said it was delicious. You know what I mean? So clearly putting a dog on the package doesn't make it obvious, especially when it's Scooby, you know, because we're all just wired to look for him and to want those things. But yeah, I'm shocked at how much of it is promoted for dogs. I shouldn't be. That seems like it's so obvious, but yeah, I was honestly so surprised. And those ones, like those scrappy ones, there was a picture with like a scrappy Scooby snack. Those 100% looked like they were for people. I really thought that I would see that in the store and I would be like, okay, that's for people. And then some of them said safe for dogs. And then I was like, well, okay, does that mean that they're made for the dog or they're made for people, but you can give them to the dog? Like that to me was a little bit vague. Maybe I'm just stupid because I don't have a dog anymore, but that kind of confused me. I was like, does it mean it's for dogs? Like, why would you need to say it was safe for dogs if it's made for the dogs rather than for people? So that definitely confused me. I mean, all I can say is I'm glad that I don't have to worry about it, because I would be second guessing what I was eating and I would have to smell everything very, very closely before I decided to eat it.
I think a lot of the ones that said safe for dogs were the ones that were chocolate. And I think they
Okay.
said it because they were made for dogs, but people don't think that it's okay to give their dogs chocolate. So I think that's
Right.
why it said safe for dogs.
Okay, that makes sense.
I don't understand why you would even try to market a chocolate product to dogs anyway, because it's like well known that dogs shouldn't be eating a lot of chocolate.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There were some issues with some of those, like the Scooby Snacks brand. There were some things that were Scooby Snacks brand. The peanut butter was one of them, and they were actually causing dogs to have like massive issues. So
Really?
some of that stuff was taken off the market because of it. Yeah.
Okay.
I think I remember that.
Yeah, there were some pretty nasty pictures going around of some things that we're not going to talk about, but yeah, it's
Yeah.
pretty bad. Alexa, what are your thoughts on the different Scooby snacks for dogs and humans?
Yeah, I feel like just scrolling through the pictures initially, you really had to look at them and read through the packaging to be like, okay, this is for humans, this is for dogs. But I mean, like both Shaggy and Scooby interchangeably eat the Scooby snacks. So maybe this is just saying that we need to market one for both humans and dogs. But most of them I haven't seen, like whether it was in Canada or whether like I don't know, I just missed them. But the only ones that I have actually bought and given to my dogs were the sausage ones. And I mean, plug for those because my dog loved them. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's interesting for sure that most of them, like Wendy said, are marketed for dogs because I mean, the dog isn't necessarily going to be watching Scooby-Doo and being like, oh my God, I want a Scooby snack. It's more like the people that are like, I want to try a Scooby snack.
So true.
So in New Zealand in June of 2017, there were parents that accidentally fed their kids the chalk-friendly carob Scooby Snacks. The packaging did say pet food product only at the top. It was not in big lettering, but it did say it at the top. The parents mistook them for human treats and said that the bags were too close to the normal food and not with the pet food. One parent said, I was absolutely mortified when I gave them to my daughter. She took one bite and said, this is rubbish. I looked at the packet closely and gasped, oh no, I'm so sorry. I just fed you dog food. Another parent packed the treats in her kid's lunch and her kid ate them all.
I want to know how many were in the lunch bag.
Yeah.
What's weird is, like Wendy said, wouldn't they smell? I mean, dog treats smell gross.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Mhm.
I take out treats for my dogs and they're gross.
Yeah.
Wouldn't they have some awful smell that like you wouldn't want to eat them because they smell so bad? I don't
Yeah.
know.
You would think
Yeah.
so. Yeah.
Yeah.
And if I ever gave my kids dog treats, I wouldn't tell them that.
So true.
I
So
would
true.
just be like, oh, we're just gonna put these away for later, and then we'll give them to the dogs before the kids ever find out. I mean, come on. Why would you tell your child you just fed them dog food?
Yeah.
That's got to be traumatizing to the kid, really.
Oh. Although some parents, I mean, my dad would brag about that. If he got me to eat, I mean, he would be like deliberately trying to get me to eat the dog treat. It wouldn't be a mistake. He would be like, hee hee, I'm gonna be sneaky and you ate dog food and start laughing about it. I have no doubt about that whatsoever. After he convinced me to eat shrimp tails because I was stupid and I didn't know you weren't supposed to eat them. And he sat there and almost gagged laughing, trying not to laugh while I'm munching this disgusting shrimp tail. And he's like, I was just joking. I didn't think you'd do it. And I was like, well, why didn't you stop me? You let me eat it. So my dad would totally laugh and he would gloat that I ate the dog treats for sure, for sure.
I'd like to know like an actual layout of where the snacks were in the store and if they were actually in the pet aisle and the parent was just like, for some reason, like, oh, this is definitely for humans, and it was clearly like with the dog food, or if it was like on like one of those special things that are like hanging from the side of an aisle that was like, okay, maybe you could mistake that for like a snack that you could give your children. But I mean, in the article, it says that the store was adamant that they were in the pet food aisle. So I don't know. I think that's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, but would the store actually admit that they weren't in the pet food aisle?
Yeah.
That is a good question.
That's a
Probably
good
not.
question. Yeah.
Yeah, they probably wouldn't. And I have seen like dog treats on those little plastic things just hanging, not usually with like food for humans, but maybe in other aisles where there's not food.
Mhm.
But yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I still think like you have to read packaging. It said
Yeah.
pet food product only
Mhm.
at the very top. Like, wouldn't you see that? Or were you just like so mesmerized by Scooby that you
Yeah.
couldn't see anything else?
Yeah. It's kind of just like buyer beware. Like you should be probably looking at the package.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh. Scooby Snacks recipes, there are a bunch of them out there and they're all different. If you read the ingredients, I think every single one of them is different. Have you tried any Scooby Snacks yourself? Wendy?
Yes. So for one of our food panels, we did try some Scooby Snacks, and I'm pretty sure you made more than one, but we did end up making the same one. And I mean, it's not like they were the worst things that I've ever had, but there was no fat in them. There was no egg, there was no butter. So the texture was just awful. They were like dry, but also somehow spongy. I remember my dad wanted to try one, and he actually ate a couple of them. He's like, they're not bad. He said these would be great for anybody who's trying to lose weight, because they're really hard to eat because of like the texture, and they're very bland, but they're super duper filling. They were very, very filling. And he's like, so all you would need is like a half a treat and like no more appetite. You're full. And there's nothing in them that's fattening, you know? So they smelled better than they tasted because they had cinnamon in them. And so they didn't smell too bad. But yeah, I would not recommend the ones that I tried. I looked at all the other recipes, and some of them just seem like a form of macaroon with like coconut and stuff. Others with Rice Krispie cereal in them. I don't know. None of them sounded appealing to me. But yeah, it was just, I mean, way better as a decoration. Like, let's just turn the Scooby Snacks into decorations, and we don't need to eat them. It's okay.
We did try the same one, and I remember it didn't really have much of a taste to it at all.
Yeah.
And then the other ones that I made had like something, maybe syrup. I think there was syrup in them,
Right.
Maple syrup, and they were really good. They didn't turn out exactly the way it said that they would. They were just like really big circles. But yeah, I thought they were really good. That recipe is the one that I have on my website.
Okay.
But the one that we tried, my dogs loved them because
Oh,
they
good.
were for humans or dogs. It was like something like flour and water and like something else. There wasn't much to it.
Not a lot.
But yeah, my dogs love them.
Okay.
Alexa, have you ever tried any Scooby Snacks?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The one that I tried was the recipe that was in like a bonus feature on one of the DVDs. I can't remember which one at the moment, but when I was a kid, I like painstakingly like had it on the TV and wrote down all of the ingredients. But when we made it when I was a kid, my mom like went through it and was like, okay, this doesn't seem like enough flour. So we kind of like reworked the recipe, and they were phenomenal. They were really good when she had like reworked it, and we took out the coconut, so that was all fine. But then I tried to make them again a couple months ago, and I followed the recipe as it was written, or pretty close to as it was written, and they were so liquidy that when I baked them, they all baked into one giant cookie, and they weren't very good. So I need to like go through my parents' house and find the recipe that we had reworked, because the one that's on the DVD is not. Don't recommend it.
So before we get into our final topic, Scooby Snacks was added to the dictionary in June of 2016. And the official definition is a snack, especially given as a reward or inducement, a bite-sized treat or a large multi-layered sandwich, likened to those eaten by the cartoon character Scooby-Doo. Also, food eaten to satisfy a hunger induced by drinking, smoking, or drug use. Why do we have to add a drug reference? It was fine until that. Why does there need to be a drug reference in anything that has to do with Scooby-Doo? Why?
Yeah, that was
I'm not a
unnecessary.
fan of that last bit.
Yeah, not cool. Not cool at all.
Can you read it again? What does it say?
Yeah. A snack, especially given as a reward or inducement, a bite-sized treat or a large multi-layered sandwich, likened to those eaten by the cartoon character Scooby-Doo. Also, food eaten to satisfy a hunger induced by drinking, smoking, or drug use. It's funny, though, that they added likened to those eaten by the cartoon character Scooby-Doo.
Yeah, as if the name was
any other context.
Yeah, but the drug reference is unnecessary. I
Yeah.
I just don't understand. I mean, and that's in the Oxford English Dictionary. You would think
Shame.
that they would have just left that part out. The rest of it was
Mhm.
fine. They could have just left that out.
Yeah.
I also thought
Agreed.
that the multi-layered sandwich edition was interesting because, like, typically a Scooby snack, quote unquote, is like the ones in the box, and
Right.
whereas like the sandwiches and hot pies and stuff are more like the Shaggy snacks.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah. So our final topic is, what would you do for a Scooby snack? Alexa?
A good Scooby snack, anything. A mediocre, weird recipe Scooby snack, I'm not taking the bribe.
Wendy, what would you do for a Scooby snack?
I mean, I'm gonna have to stick with the idea that I don't think I would do anything for just one. You know, it's like if you go to a flea market or something, you have to haggle. You know, it's a haggling deal. Haggling is part of the fun. And I feel like pretty much every single time that Scooby or Shaggy haggled a little bit for more than one Scooby snack, they got more than one. If they just said, okay, well, then they just got the one. But like, I can't think of any time where they didn't push for a couple more that they didn't get them. So, first things first, never take just one. You can always get at least two, if not three or four of them. But yeah, if they were good ones, like honestly, I'm totally into that multi-layered sandwich bit. If that was my Scooby snack, I will go into the haunted mansion and I will solve the mystery myself. I don't even need the rest of the gang. I will solve the mystery for a really good sandwich.
So for me, it's that I apparently am willing to eat disgusting foods that Scooby and Shaggy have eaten, because we have been doing it on the panels. Every 10th panel, we've eaten some really gross things that we have seen in Scooby-Doo episodes. And I'm not one for eating disgusting foods. I don't even like to eat not half the not disgusting foods out there. So yeah, it's apparently that's what I'm willing to do for a Scooby snack.
Fair.
So does anybody have anything else that they want to add about Scooby Snacks? Wendy?
I cannot stop thinking now about how cool it would be to have like a whole collection of all the different Scooby snack boxes. Now, I'm not saying I'm going to do that, but if someone did that, that would be cool. If anyone does do that, tag us so that we can see them. But I am just imagining now just this like nice lineup of all the different Scooby snack boxes. And I think that would be really, really cool. But like, let's bring back the Scooby snacks, because I feel like they're not always, you know, I miss them. I miss them when they're not in an episode. And so if Warner Brothers, if you're making any new Scooby content, like give us the Scooby snacks. We appreciate Scooby and Shaggy getting a little something extra. Like we know that they are brave deep down without a Scooby snack, but we enjoy seeing them get like a little treat in order to go and do the thing. So include the Scooby snacks. Don't leave them out. They're an important part of Scooby canon, I think.
Alexa, do you have anything to add about Scooby Snacks?
I guess we touched on this a little bit, but on an ending note, what is your favorite Scooby Snacks box design?
There's so many to choose from, but I think I kind of like the Be Cool ones because they have Scooby on them.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I like the Scooby-Doo show, although I have to admit that the box with Shaggy from A Pup Named Scooby-Doo, it was just really cute. So honorable mention to the Pup Named Scooby-Doo boxes that had their faces on them.
Alexa, which one is yours?
I like the box designs from the Zombie Island, Cyber Chase, Alien Invaders, and the What's New era, but I definitely like the shape of the Pup Named Scooby-Doo snacks themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think the shape of the pup named Scooby-Doo ones are the best because like Wendy said, the other ones are just kind of weird. Like some of them look like cookies, some of them look like crackers, some of them look inedible. Yeah.
That was the polite way of putting the ones that look like poo.
Well, we have gone through 53 years of Scooby Snacks, and I'm sure that we're missing some. So if you know of some that we didn't mention, please let us know. Let us know your favorite Scooby Snacks box or what you would do for a Scooby Snack, or if you've tried a recipe in the comments of the video. And before we go, everybody's going to let you know where you can find them on social media. Wendy, we'll start with you.
So you can find me on Instagram. I'm at WendyBRYDGE. My blog is wendylovesjesus.wordpress.com. And you can see a little bit of Scooby content once in a while over on Twitter, where I'm at WendyLovesJesus.
Alexa?
And you can find me on Twitter at UnmaskedSD, Instagram at UnmaskedSDPodcast, or at UnmaskedSDPodcast.com.
And you can find all my links at ScoobyAddicts.com. Thank you for joining us for another Scooby panel. Thank you for tuning in to another Scooby panel. I'm Nikki Blake from ScoobyAddicts.com. If you like these panels, please subscribe to my channel for more great discussions. A huge shout out to our patrons, Ross from ScoobyFan.net, Scooby-Doo of Roblox, and Ruth Elliott Hillsden. If you would like to support the Scooby panel, please go to patreon.com/ScoobyAddicts. A very special thank you to Alexa LAWLOR from the Unmasked History of Scooby-Doo podcast, and artist, blogger, and Scooby collector Wendy BRYDGE. Scooby Panel is available in podcast form on most podcast platforms, or as a web series on YouTube. Scooby and Shaggy were voiced by Scott Innes. Check out Scott's website, onescottshop.com. Scooby Addicts artwork by Will Davenport. Video editing by Nikki Blake. Music composed and performed by Bovine Nightmares. Please join us next time for another Scooby panel.